Okay, we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 17th episode of Women of Color and Confidence. I'm your host, Amber Rose West, and today we are joined by Niasha Douglas, who is the founder of the Divas Empowered Network. I have been looking forward to this conversation all week long. It's one of my biggest passions, obviously, if you've been watching this show, to empower women to come together as a community to support one another. And Niasha is doing that work every day of her lives. I'm so excited for this conversation. Niasha, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes! Niasha, you're my first guest from the UK. I'm so excited about it.
UK in the house. UK via the Caribbean. UK, I can't leave Grenada out. UK via Grenada.
Love it. Love it. Well, would you like to take a minute to introduce yourself to our listeners?
Hello, listeners of Women of Confidence and Color. I'm Niasha Douglas. Firstly, I'm a mother of two amazing young ladies. I am a woman empowerment and confidence coach. And what I do is I help women who have been through adversity, women who feel overwhelmed, or they can't cope, or they're in chaos. I help them to build their confidence and to become empowered so that they can go back into society knowing their worth and just being these strong, powerful queens that we are. I'm an author. I co-authored a book, Girl, Get Out of Your Way. And I also produce women empowerment projects.
I love it. And we're going to go so deep into all of those things on the show today. I really wanted to start by talking about, you're the first person that I've had on the show that really does a lot of the same work that I do: confidence coaching, empowerment events, even discussions around how to get over our challenges, our differences. And I was so excited to have you on because I think it's really important that we acknowledge that there, well, one, are other people in the world that do the same work that we do. And it's okay that we continue to follow our passion and to make a difference in the world with something that really means a lot to us, but also that we can still support one another rather than seeing each other as competition. And one of the things that I really loved is that your company is named a network. Was there like a big reasoning behind, calling it a network versus a company or a group?
Yes. Yeah, there was. Because firstly, I just think, there is room in the world for everyone. And even though we both may have the same job title, your vibe attracts your tribe and my vibe attracts mine. And, I'm bull in the China shop and that may not be for everyone. So I just want to say to ladies, if you are looking at going into something, it doesn't matter. The world is not oversaturated because there are over 7 billion people in the world, and you would attract, who is attracted to your style or your way of speaking or, something like that. And I call it a network because I know that I cannot cover everything. Yes, I cover confidence and empowerment and getting out of your own way and all of that. But like something like domestic abuse, I cannot cover that because I haven't been through that, So I was determined to serve as many ladies as possible and let no one who comes into contact with me think, she can't relate to me, so I cannot work with her. So I do have a network of women, of different coaches in different fields. I wrote my book with another coach, and I just wanted to have this one-stop shop where women can come, and even though I cannot help them, I have others in my network who can help them.
Yes. I love that idea too, is that we do want to help as many women as possible, but we all don't individually have all the skills in the world. So being able to call on, the sister sitting next to you who knows these individual details that can help women is so, I love it. It's like the integration of everything that we know to help one another, to support one another. And that network of women really becomes a web. I think about like before we all started fighting each other, how much women spent time talking to each other, supporting each other.
Yeah.
If somebody got hurt out while they were hunting and gathering, then you told every other woman so that they could be safe. And somehow we turned into this collection of like, I don't really care if you're safe as long as I'm safe.
I know, but I hate that culture totally. And that's why I believe in collaborations. I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses. And I think most projects that I do, I collaborate with other women. I bring other women who would complement my, my weaknesses. And I am not about the catching. If I see that happening, I call you out and tell you about yourself. So, and before, the women used to come together when the husbands went to war or went hunting and gathering, or the woman would come together and look after the children and look after the village. And that is the culture that I cultivate in my organization.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So let's start at the beginning. I know that it's been an interesting road for you, getting to Divas Empowered Network. So tell us a little bit about that road and how each part of that journey led you to where you are now.
Well, I think my road began exactly 27 years ago, because my first daughter, she was 27 on Sunday gone. And I got pregnant really young. I was 15, child. I don't know what I was doing big people's business at 15. But I was 15. And even then, I was determined that, because I was a straight A student, I was going to one of the best secondary schools. And something that everybody, in the Caribbean, in Grenada, from a Black family, if you commit murder, they can understand, because maybe that person provoked you. But to be pregnant at 15, it was a massive thing that, wasn't happening. And my family were very prominent in the church and all of that. So I was determined for my daughter not to have that stigma of your mother became pregnant with you and now she's doing nothing with her life, because that's what everybody says to the children who are products of teenage pregnancy. And what I found was, what kept me going was the strong women that I had around me, my aunties, my grandmothers, my mothers and stuff like that. So I started teaching women really, really early. After I had my Krista, my first ever job was in a remedial education program for women, young girls who got pregnant and all of that. And then I left that, because according to your parents, that's not a job. That is not a job. In Black households, if you're not a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, and an accountant, you might get away with being a nurse, but it's not a job. So I went on and I studied accounting. I left my daughter, went away, studied accounting, and I did accountancy for a long time. But my passion was always, what? I got pregnant at 15 for a reason. I wasn't promiscuous. I wasn't out there. I had the one boyfriend. And I thought, why me? Why did I got pregnant? And I really dug deep. And I've always been a reader. And I've always, I'm always into bettering myself and being the best, at everything. So, fast forward a few years, got married, had my second daughter. So there's a big age gap between my girls, because I was determined, you need to get yourself together before you go having more children in this world. So now they're 27 and 19. So I got married, moved to the UK, and I continued doing accounting, but I wasn't fulfilled. I felt more fulfilled going to church, because I was a youth minister, and I felt more fulfilled going to church on a Sunday, or going to all the, young ladies' activities and helping them out. And I hated my job, with a passion. So I walked away from that eventually. And again, people are like, what are you doing? Are you crazy? Like, no one understood. And I went and I did a law degree. I did a law degree, and I thought, you know what? This is it. I can do that. And I can still help. But women were pulling me. And while I was doing my law degree, I actually started doing this as a business, where I did more qualifications, life coaching qualifications, along with my law degree. Again, I'm a bit cuckoo, because it was difficult, but I just wanted some credentials to put along with my life experiences. So I did that. And then here we are now. I started Divas Empowered Network. I started it with, being on Facebook and just doing lives, just doing these empowerment lives and all of that. And every time I would stop do it, the ladies would ask, where are you? Women would be in my inbox. Where are you? Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that?
Yeah.
So then it grew into brunches. I started holding women's brunches and bringing in other coaches as well. I did a brunch in New York last year. And here we are. So now Divas Empowered is my full-time job that I do.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. It's such a great, it's so great to hear your story. Actually, on my other podcast, which is an advice column podcast, there's a woman who her question literally today is, how do I start to live a more confident life? And living that more confident life to me really is about being able to acknowledge like what makes you authentically happy, what makes you feel fulfilled, and being able to say, I went down this road because I thought it was the right thing. My parents told me this, my friends told me it was a good idea, my counselors in college said that was the way to go. And now I'm here. I don't feel very good about it, but I spent all this time getting a degree, or I spent all this time working at a job, so I'm just going to stay. And it's like, it's so hard to develop authentic self-confidence from that place because you're not unhappy. You're not doing things that like light you up and fill you up. So it's so beautiful to hear your own story where you're like, I had this pregnancy as a teenager, right? But then I started doing all these things because this is what I was supposed to do. And this is what people told me to do. And that at each stage of it, you were able to look at it and say, I'm not fulfilled.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
I'm curious to hear from you. What was your experience like in those moments where you finally came to that point where you're like, I did put a lot of work and attention into this, but I'm not going to stay here? Like, was there a mental process? Was there emotional breakdown? How did you finally get to the point where it felt okay for you to like leave it and move on?
I got to that point when I realized that I was doing everything to make other people happy. So I was working in a job whereby, yes, I was making enough money to look after my children and all of that. I was in a marriage where I was there again for my children and all of that. And by developing myself, by reading a lot, by studying, I developed that unshakable confidence in myself, that unshakable belief. And I knew that this could work. I knew this was where I wanted to be. And I knew that my kids were at an age now where it was my time to make me happy. And when you take that step, we have something we say in the Caribbean, even if I have to suck salt, I am not going back. And I had to get to that place where I've literally said to my husband, you need to look after these children financially. I am going on this route and I'm not stopping. I'm 35. I think it was 34, 35 at the time. If I don't do it now, I'll be old and gray. But ultimately, it was that unshakable belief in myself. I didn't need anybody else to believe in me. I didn't need any validation. I validated who I was. I validated what I was doing. I knew that I had women out there that needed me. And I just thought without my voice, a lot of women would slip through the cracks. The way I deliver things, the way I say things. Some women need to hear that brash, harsh, get off your backside, do what you need to do. You can't be, and all the coaches around me were softy. Well, and I'm like, no, you've had your pity party, you've had your moment. Now get up and do what you need to do. And I knew in my soul, in my spirit, that these women needed my type of coaching. So I would say that it came to the point where I realized I was doing everything to please everybody else. And when I can sit down and look at myself, look at my parents, look at my grandparents, look at all the advisors and say to them, I believe in this. I don't need any of you to validate my path in life anymore. And girl, I left a job that was paying me a lot of money. I picked my bag up, said goodbye to my staff, and I've never turned back.
I love it. Yes. One of my first business coaches told me that if you have like a burning passion, a burning desire, if it's something that even if you have a good paying job or, you know, you're taking care of things, it keeps coming to you and coming to you and coming to you. That's a calling. And that, you know, God, the universe, source, whatever you believe in, would not put you on this planet with that
Yeah.
passion and that desire for you to go, not me,
Yeah,
not
and to
mine.
forget about it.
No, that's
Yeah.
not mine, right? Like if it's there and it's calling, it's for a reason. So rather than
Yes.
ignoring it, it's so much better for you to say, how do I make this work? Why is it
Exactly.
here for me?
Yeah. And you know, most of the times you get into a pain, and I got into that pain where I was like, I didn't want to go to work. I didn't want to be counting other people's money anymore. And
That.
I just like, no, I'm not counting your money anymore. And you know, they didn't care. All they cared is like the balance sheet balance. They didn't care about the stuff. They didn't care about anything else. And you have to get to that point where you say to yourself, I'm having this pain because I am not fulfilling this passion. How can I take this pain plus my passion and make a profit? And I write that down everywhere. Pain plus passion equal profit. And if you follow that equation, you would find something in your passion that you can say to somebody, I went through that pain and my passion is to help others get through that pain as well. And when you get to that point, there's no going back. You just have to do your due, have tunnel vision, your peripherals are cut off, have your own pom-poms in your hand, because guess what? The only person who would cheer for you initially is you.
Yeah.
Don't expect family, don't expect friends, because they wouldn't understand, because to you, I'm just Niasha and you just Amber. Who are you to come and coach me? I knew you when you were small. I knew you when you were in high school. So who are you? So girl, you have to create. In my case, I create my own purple and gold pom-poms.
Yeah.
And I stay in my lane. I run that race. And when I reach the end, I celebrate myself.
You're like waving your pom-poms in the air.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
I wave my pom-poms in the air.
I'm going to wave my flowers in the air when I get there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You know, and you have to be prepared for that, you know, because going out on your own, like we have, is not an easy thing. You have to be prepared to work harder than when you're in a normal job, because ain't nobody giving you deadlines or anything like that. You have to be prepared to put your nose to the ground, and you have to be prepared to do right now what others are not prepared to do, so that in 5-10 years time you could be living the life that other people are not living. I'll see you in Bali by the beach somewhere.
We're sipping our coconuts. Okay.
Oh yes.
So I really love this idea of your network, and I know that you said you used to do brunches and things like that. What was, you know, the Divas Empowered Network prior to the pandemic, and how did you make the shift to keep it alive while in-person events are kind of on the back burners for now?
Yep. Prior to that, to the pandemic, I had brunches which I called brunch on purpose, and it was a high-end brunch. You had to get dressed up, or you know, I like thing either 100% or nothing at all. And women came, and we had a full day of programs. So we did stuff like breaking a bowl and, you know, molding it back with gold. You know, for the Japanese bowl, you're beautiful, and you know, you're beautifully broken, but you're still beautiful. I did things like writing love letters to yourself, writing forgiveness letters to yourself, and stuff like that, which, because my aim was that no woman leaves the brunch, even me, the same way they came in. And because again, I have a network, what I did was I did not run all the sessions myself. I had other coaches who are specialists, like meditation and, you know, stuff like that, affirmation writing and all of that. I had those coaches come in and take some of the sessions. So it was just not me. So when you came, you got that full experience, where what I said is, when they're at the door, I said, you leave your mask, whatever mask you're wearing, the mother mask, the wife mask, the best friend, the daughter looking after the parents. Today is all about you. So they came in and we had those days, and we always ended with Prosecco.
Yes.
always ended this prosecco. And then the pandemic happened, and pandemic actually happened right before I was meant to go to Antigua. I had a brunch set in Antigua, 308 women, and I had to do that via video call because I could not go. I am high risk. So
Yeah.
I couldn't travel. And then what I started doing is I started having circles online. So on a Sunday evening, I would have the woman abundance circles. And again, it's where women could come in. Because what I noticed is a lot of women now have been thrown into being teachers, being working full time and still having to look after the children full time, looking after parents, looking after all of that. And my question to you is, you're looking after everyone, who's looking after you?
Yes.
And so we now have woman empowerment circles where you come in and we do a bit of dancing at the beginning, get yourself in there, get your drink, all of that. And then we talk about our week. We talk about where we are. And because what happens in circle stays in circle, it's a safe space for the woman.
Mm-hmm.
And, and in there, what I do now is I still bring in coaches, but I bring in well-being coaches. So I had someone who did tapping, someone who did, different forms of meditation, Reiki, yoga, whatever it is. I bring different coaches in to help you relax in that space.
Yeah.
And then at the end of all of that, we set our intentions for the following week. So to me, it's the Sunday evening where you get powered up, prayed up, productive up, so that you can go back into the world a better being. So that's how it switched from being but you know what? During the pandemic, I've done a lot. I wrote the book during the pandemic. I did my affirmation cards during the pandemic. And I just feel that we're at a time now where this is trying to teach us something. It slowed us down for a reason.
Yeah.
And I say to every woman, you can't just go through the pandemic. You have to grow through it.
Yeah.
No one should come out on the other side the same. And I found that I have a lot more women one-to-one now trying to say, listen, I want to do this, help me through that.
Yeah.
At the end of the pandemic. And that's what a lot of women are there now, where they're asking for help because they don't want to be caught out if something like this was to happen again. So that's how I've swapped. Now I'm totally online right now. All my one-to-ones, everything is being done online. So I'm just rolling with the punches.
Yes. Beautiful. Yeah. And, I think it's interesting because either you grow through the pandemic or the pandemic's going to grow through you.
Oh, yeah. And it's coming. The pandemic doesn't care.
No, not one way or the other. And, I don't feel like there's like this huge pressure. Like, I don't think people should be pressured, but just know that this pandemic is changing us anyway, like whether we want it to or not, right? So do we want the pandemic coming in and changing things for us? Or do we want to be able to say, there's a pandemic happen. I'm going to facilitate the change that's happening in the direction that I want it to go in, right?
You have to control your life. Not anything. And I say that to my clients all the time. If you wake up every day and you just go, say, Sarah, whatever will be, you will just get tumbled. You would just, you would get drawn. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So I encourage all my ladies, you wake up every single day and you command your day. I'm a journal practitioner as well, a certified journal practitioner. And girl, you need to sit down every single day and write, this is how my day was, just the way you want it. And if you do that, as opposed to just rolling out of bed and going, what you find is, yes, obstacles will come in your way because you have no control over that.
Right.
But if you sit down before you leave your bed and you command how your day, how this pandemic or the month is going to be, when these obstacles come, you'll be prepared to deal with them. And they wouldn't be a big boulder as they would have been if you were not prepared. It would just be a little pebble and you flick that over your back and you keep it moving.
That's such a great point. I took up a journal practice when I was a kid, and I've now implemented it as something as easy as 2 minutes in the morning before I even do my workout. My workout's the first thing I do in the morning. Before I even do that, I pull my journal out, and sometimes I'll write for 20, 30, an hour. I'm just like, I got a lot to say today. And sometimes
Yeah.
what my page says is, I woke up a little tired. I don't really have anything else to say today. I'm ready to get my day started. And that takes 30
That's
seconds.
it. Yeah.
That's all it needs to be. And you're right. When you take the time to reflect not only on the days before, but then to also think about the days ahead, when things
Mhm.
are coming at you unexpectedly, you kind of already, and it's not so much that you wrote down, if this happens to me today, this is how I'm going to react. But it's more just like you've given yourself the mental space to open up a
Yes.
little bit. So when it
Mhm.
hits you, you're like, oh, I already have a little bit of space to deal with some
Yeah,
shit today.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I could, you come on strong, but I've already prepared for you. I've already
Yes.
said my prayers, and I've already commanded you to go back to where you came from. And you know what? If I don't journal in the morning, I feel off-centered.
Yeah.
It's as if I cannot function if I don't, I need to, and as I said, command my day. This is what is going to happen. You don't come to me with your BS. I've already decided what is going to be.
Yes. Yes. Okay, you mentioned that you had made the affirmation cards during the pandemic. Tell us what those are, how you use them. I saw a little
Woo!
bit of them when you introduced them to me, and I was like, oh, these are great. Yes, yes. Tell us
So
about them.
these affirmation cards, because during the pandemic, I think sometimes I felt I needed to talk to somebody because I've been isolating, I've been self-isolating for over a year, being
Same.
diabetic, asthmatic, and all of that. And
Mhm.
I thought, what would I want? I would want something to be there for me. So
Yeah.
I sat down and I told my friend Sarah does all my graphics because I hate a computer with a passion. I don't do computers. I write everything pen on paper. So my friend Sarah did the designs, and I wanted it to be as though I was speaking to you, as though you were under my voice. You didn't catch me live on Facebook this morning. So now I'm speaking to you. So you get 33 cards, and they all have affirmations and a word from me. So this one says, I am free. And it says, hello, beautiful soul. Being locked within your own head is worse than being in a prison with high security. Freeing yourself from your past could be the only thing that is holding you back from being the amazing woman that you are meant to be. Make the decision today to forgive yourself from anything big or small that is blocking your path to happiness. Remember, you are not your past, so don't let it define your future. So that's one of them. And they're all along that line,
Mhm.
33 different affirmations and 33 different sayings, words, just a little bit of encouragement, empowerment from
Mhm.
me. And you have a blank one in there as well, so that you can write your own powerful affirmation on there. And then there's a little card about how to use it. And what I advise you to do is to get up in the morning, pull a card, read the card, meditate on the card, journal about the card, and walk around with the card just walk around with it. And whenever you stop anywhere, take out the card, put it somewhere that you go. So if you're at work, put it in your top drawer, because you have to pull that out every time someone comes to you, or in your purse, so you're going to lunch, and just read it. And it's just me trying to say to you, you're not alone. I am there with you to help you, to guide you, and all of that. And I have created a journal. Again, the pandemic put a stop to that. But as a journal that's coming out in the next couple of weeks, I should get it. It's at the printers, where you can journal. So I have the different headings on the top, and you can journal in your journal. And the journal also has some free space for freestyle journaling, and then a third section with some prompts where you can journal as well. So this has been my little project that I did. And and I just hope that women everywhere around the world could just have it, and just be encouraged. And because some people don't have anybody, and I'm very conscious about that. I've got my children that phones me every day, 3 times a day, what you doing. I've got my brother and his wife, and my nieces who can use technology now. So I go, auntie, and all of that. But I appreciate that I have that. A lot of people don't have that. And something I've also done during the pandemic is on my booking system, I have a Soul Sisters check-in. It's a free 30 minutes, and they can just, book a call with me. Girl, we can laugh, we can cry, we can talk about it, whatever it is. If you just want to, some of them just come on to chat because they're on their own, and we just talk about what's going on in the world. We put the world to rights, and I open up these slots every week, a couple of those slots, so that women can come and just have the strength, because without the strong woman in my life, I wouldn't be who I am. So that's something which I'm very conscious of, giving back to women who are not blessed and privileged as I am, to have that network around me.
Yes, such beautiful gifts. I'm glad that you brought up the journaling part, because affirmation cards, for those of you who are listening to us talk about journaling every day and you're like, that sounds crazy, that sounds like I don't even know where I'd find the time or what I would write about, or like, how do you even start? Affirmation cards are actually a really great way to begin journaling. If it sounds like a tough thing, or like you've tried before but you don't know, you can pull an affirmation card, read what it says, and then just reflect on what it told you. How did you feel when you read it? Were you like, yes, queen, oh yes? Or were you reading it like, this is just not me, and I don't know how I feel about this, right? Pulling affirmation cards and being able to reflect in a journal is a great way to start that practice. So even though Niasha's journal is not ready yet, highly recommend you take a peek at her affirmation cards, make them a part of your library.
Thank you.
Yes, and use them to begin this practice, as Niasha shared with us, of not only reflecting, but allowing it to give you the power to face whatever challenges may come at you during the day, so that as they come looking like a boulder, you can send them back feeling like a pebble.
Yes.
I'm gonna use that in my whole life from now on. I'm like, you look like a boulder, but you're for sure a pebble. I'm gonna make sure.
Yeah.
This is wonderful. So I will definitely put a link below this video in Facebook, as well as on the podcast definitions and on Instagram, so that y'all can find these affirmation cards and make them a part of your library. And then as soon as that journal comes out, what a beautiful pairing to put together, the journal and the card. But let's get y'all started journaling with these beautiful affirmation cards. It's such a wonderful gift to the world. And I too hope that every woman gets a set of those and starts putting them to work for their mental health. Niasha, it's been so great to have you on. Is there anything that you'd like to share before we close out today?
You know what? I just want women to know that you are not alone in this world, because a lot of people are going through stuff, especially with this pandemic. I'm a mental health advocate as well. And don't sit and suffer in silence. Or don't think I don't have the money to talk to this one or that one. My inbox is open. I'm sure if you say, hello, Amber, she wouldn't say, go away. And just know that we are all going through. You may see us as though we have it all together. Girls, you don't know what is out of the frame in that camera.
Yes.
And you're not alone. You're not the only person going through it. Wake up every day and, be intentional. And that is something I'm big on. Living an abundant life, it wouldn't just come to you. You have to do it on purpose. That's why brunch is called Brunch on Purpose. You have to do it with intention. Wake up every single day and don't let the day rule you. Don't let other people's agenda determine who you are and what you do. You're big enough and bad enough to determine that for yourself. So wake up every day and intentionally set out your life of abundance on purpose.
Yes. I don't think there's anything that I can add to that, my lord. Yes, I love it. I just want to say thank you to everybody that showed up live on our Facebook page today. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for jumping in, even though we had the time change today. Niasha, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming to this week's episode of Women of Color and Confidence. We have a few announcements coming out next week, so make sure to look for those on the Facebook page as well as in your newsletter. And other than that, I will be seeing y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.